Hello everyone, welcome back. It is September 30th, a little late in the evening, but we're going to go ahead and get the reading out for this month of October that is coming. We are now at least 2 weeks into fall, and we are also at the start of a Mercury retrograde, which started on the 27th. And I'm sure we were all beginning to feel the effects of that as we're seeing different shifts in the energy for ourselves and the energies around the world, as well as in our space. So let's go ahead and get the ancestors in and see what they have to say for the month of October. Alrighty, so we have thrown the bones, and our card for this month is Unburnable. This is about toughness and the imperishability of the self and permanence, unyielding, unbending, and steadfastness. Which then, when we come to the dice, we have a number 3, which means the third house, which is about communication, siblings, friends, neighbors, and community. So when we look at that, that talks about the aspect of what is the toughness that we have in our communication. So we want to make sure that it is an appropriate place where we want to bring that toughness in, that imperishability of the self, that we know where we are when we are communicating who and what we are. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we are also trying to purposely create conflict. Again, I want to put that out there. It does not mean we are purposely creating conflict. But we do also need to know that we are and what we are and who we are. It also means that some of the communications we're going to be finding in this next month are going to be unyielding, unbuilding, and perhaps steadfast. So with the fact that we're also dealing with a Mercury retrograde, it's time to just spend some time sitting and thinking, as opposed to trying to persuade or push past or necessarily over-negotiate with people to get things. I would suggest strongly waiting until November before approaching any of that. And this goes especially with our siblings, our friends, our neighbors, and community. So we're going to be seeing a lot of people who are going to want to tough talk. We're going to see a lot of people who feel that they are not going to be, they're going to be in a sense of permanency. They're going to be in a sense of being unyielding. They're in a place of being unbending. They're going to be steadfast. Now that can work well for you, but that can also work against you if you're trying to work with other people. And since this is about the communications, the siblings, the friends, the neighborhood, if you can, delay until November. If you're going to have conversations this month, again, just use them as information gathering. Do not work on trying to persuade somebody for shifts and change. All right? So when we look at the bones themselves, our essential 3, you can see, are very much in this tight-knit structure, almost forming like an A. So we've got this sort of sense of beginning. And going off of this standpoint of feeling like October is not a time for a lot of trying to shifts, because essentially what you've got is a very stable structure here, that with the aspect of the triangle, that it is the most stable form of polygon. So work, home, and social are all very tightly knit. They're all very much structured. I would say right now this crossbar here, that's the social. So home and work. Social. There's going to be a connection with them. But they are, again, highly structured. And at the core, we have one of the spinal bones, one of the supports. So there's stuff that's going to be nurturing ideas. And that's about bringing that, again, internal time. And that's why I say that October is not a month to try and persuade people. It's a time to basically sit and concentrate and think about what's going on. What are your options? And plan. Again, that's also one of the properties of a Mercury retrograde. It's time for self-reflection. It's time to look at what happened in the last 3 months and what do you want to go forward with in the next 3 months. So, again, bring this in. Now, what also supports this is the shell. We've got the internal face side of it up. So we're dealing, again, with internal matters. So that's why it's saying the idea of staying within Focusing on the internal is the best course of action, and not worrying about what you're trying to persuade others. Now, how does this seem to conflict with the idea that this house all has connections with our external selves, being what we're communicating to others, the siblings, the friends, the neighbors, and community? Well, it's about assessing those things. What are we looking at when we are communicating, not just outwardly, but also communicating inwardly to ourselves, such as our sense of worth, or the sense that we have changed and that some settings may no longer be what we need. We're looking at how are we looking at our relationships with our siblings, with our friends, with our neighbors, and in the greater aspects of our community, which is what I see here with the social bone connecting the two. So, yeah. We have the quartz piece, which is also next to the shell, and again, internal. So this is, again, internally looking at what you have for memories. What are you challenging with? Plus, we also have the broken rib bone here pointing towards that internal self. So it's also being very conscious about how critical you are being. And is that criticality that you're facing also being unyielding, unbending, and steadfast? Are you being tougher on yourself needlessly or purposely, or are you being tougher on yourself because it is what will strengthen you and you realize you need that strength in that toughness? But remember, toughness means that you can take more slings and blows. It does not mean you are invulnerable or invincible. Again, toughness does not equal invulnerability or invincibility. It just means you can take more blows than the average material. So with the rest of our bones, we got the broken rib bone over here next to our dice. So there's support and things going on, but those are going to be at our edge. This is also the standpoint of where's our more elder cells are. And so this may be, again, in that time of being conscious about what's going on within. There are people that we are going to be looking at support and getting wisdom from, but we're going to be at the distance. They're going to be at the periphery, which is also that standpoint of spirit. Spirit is going to be out here again, under amongst all the support bones, and it's there if we need it. But again, it's about being that internal time and being unburnable, and that we can take the fire that is going on and not be destroyed by it. And remember, fire can also build. It's how we make clay pots. It's how we make ceramics. It's how we make glass. All of that is part of this. And we also have the open spinal bone, which you notice also connects to and is sitting right next to the social bone. So again, eyes open, minds open, and minds working not from the place of I'm the only thing that can happen. And I say that again in relation to our communication and, again, the permanency, unyielding, and the unbendability. We have a lot of people, a lot of structures going on right now that are struggling to say they have to exist, they have to be. And they're going to basically be holding in that form. Be conscious and look at what that is. Look at what's feeding that. Look at what's the structures that hold it together. Now is not the moment to try and to shift them, but look and study the structure so you can plan whatever move you're going to take. This is a time for planning. Now over here we've got these two bones. This is part of that energy that was coming in the neck that we saw last month, that it's moving in and closer to us. And this is a support and inspiration that's coming in. And it's going to be coming in more next month for November. So that's about what I can see for the spirits. And this is another one of those things that's coming in for November and December. That I can see for right now from the ancestors and the Orishas and laws, that again, this is a time, this month of October, for pulling back, focusing, learning. Do not try to focus on trying to persuade or bend people. Just focus on learning and understanding and growing and planning. And discovering your toughness through the ability to be observant and be aware and build that mental strength, both in how you're communicating with yourself and how you're communicating with others. But your communication is not about persuasion, changing, or shifting. Think of it more as gathering information. The other thing I want to let you know is that I have started a podcast. Now, it's not as spiritually focused as this is, but it is focused on mental health, and I do hope to talk about spirituality there. It's on the Voice of America network. It's called Untying Knots, and we're just updating the name, so it's going to be Untying Knots, Minds and Spirits Untethered. So check it out, and hope you enjoy. On behalf of the Ancestors Rishas, be well.